Everybody. Thank everybody for coming to the September 19th Prescott Board of Adjustments meeting. Tony, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which we stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I realize that wasn't per se on the agenda. However, anytime my board meets in an official capacity, I think it's important when we do the people's work to say the pledge and remember who we're working for. So anyway, thank you, Tony. I hereby call the September 19th meeting open. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to our city staff to lead us through what we're doing after I call roll call. I'm Jim Lamerson, I'm the chairman. Tony Teeters, vice chair.
Here.
Tom Davis.
Here.
Mary Fredrickson.
Here.
Miriam Hobrick, absent. Mark Hoekness.
Here.
Tom Hutchinson, absent. So we have 5 members of the board present, and it will take 4 votes positive to move something forward or to reject something, as long as they're all in agreement. So, any questions? Okay. Staff.
Approval of the...
Yeah, okay, thank you. I read the minutes from last month, or the last time we met. Did everybody get a chance to read their minutes? Any corrections or questions? Not hearing any, can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Tom Davis, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
Mary Fredrickson, second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Yeah. All those opposed say nay. Passes unanimously. Staff, you're up.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Tammy DeWitt, Community Planner, the City of Prescott. Before you is a variance for a building height request for the Land Development Code to allow an increase in the allowed 35-foot building height by 5 feet to allow for a maximum building height of 40 feet for a new single-family residence. So in April of 2021, the City of Prescott adopted an update to the International Fire Code with amendments. And one of these amendments that they approved was in regards to the slope of driveways. It shall not be more than 12% grade. So what we're seeing, almost all the flat lots have been developed, or they're in mass subdivisions, like out at the Granite Dells or Deepwell Ranch. But then we have all these custom design lots that have a lot of slope. Those are the ones we're seeing being developed right now and in some subdivisions. And we have a hillside development criteria that they have to comply to. But now they also have this 12% grade they have to comply with. We've told you about this before because we've had a couple of other requests in the past about this. So we just want to know this is where it's coming from, is from these amendments to the International Fire Code that we're seeing these height requests. So it's a vacant piece of property. It is starting to be developed in the area. In the last week, I have seen 2 other houses. Some of these are being approved as an administrative adjustment for the height, which allows for a 3.5-foot adjustment, which is a 10% increase. But some of them are having to go up higher. They do have some development criteria in this subdivision in regards to the pitch of their roofs and stuff. So I'll talk about that in a second for this particular lot. So in this subdivision, because of the slope of the lot, they do have disturbance envelopes. I worked with the applicant to revise their disturbance envelope. They can only disturb 50% of the property. So this is the revised building envelope that makes sure that all the house and all the footings and everything fit into that disturbance envelope. So we worked with them with that. Now it's the height. As you can see, there's about 15 feet that has to raise up that from that bottom level. That's about a 15%. They have to elevate the house up. Then they also have to elevate it up a little bit more for that slope of the driveway. So we worked with them. It was originally like 10 feet. And working with the HOA and the designer, we've got it down to about a 5 feet above grade, the 35-foot height. That red line there is the 35-foot line. It is right under 5 feet. It's like 4 foot 8 inches, but we wanted to give them a little bit of leeway. So when they start doing their engineering plans, gives them at least 4 inches to work with so they don't have to come back before you again. So that's why we asked for the 5-foot height. Then here's another side elevation that kind of shows the same thing, how they have to push the house up the hill a little bit for that slope, and then it's a lot taller for the house. Here's the subject property. As you can tell, it's very steep. A lot of the lots out here are like that. And these is across the street. We see how they've been built up, the pads. And then this is an adjacent lot, which had a build-up pad. I think this one, now most of these houses were built or permitted before the change in the fire code. So they didn't have to comply with that per 12% slope. So they were meeting the height. It's that change in that slope of the driveway where we're seeing these requests coming through now, and they have to bring the houses up higher. And here's another one in the neighborhood that was built up to kind of show what kind of was going on out in that subdivision. We did review it through our criteria. It does meet all the criteria. There is an extraordinary condition, the slope of the property, and then codes that were brought in that they had no say in. So other properties in the area have had a variance approved. One was to reduce the rear setback. But then we are seeing about some administrative adjustments come in the neighborhood to ask for that 10% increase. Since this is above that 10% increase, the 5 foot, they have to ask for a variance. We did contact all the property owners within 300 feet. I did have email correspondence with probably about 3 property owners out there, and we're all fine with it once they saw the elevations. And I think we had someone else come in beginning of the week that met with staff, and they seemed to be okay with the request too. And they did get a letter from the HOA. In regards to the slope of the roof, I'll go back to that. Many of these houses have a really high-pitched roof that was a lot higher, and they did reduce it and got that approved by the HOA Design Review Committee. So they have worked with staff to try to get the request down. Like I said, it was about 10 feet before. Now it's about 5 feet. So, that concludes my presentation. I'm free to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. I'll turn it to the board. I'll start down at the end with Miriam. Any questions?
Miriam
Sorry.
isn't here, but Mary is here.
Mary, sorry,
And
Mary.
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, Mark Oakness here. Tammy, the ability to build up the pad, if you build up with dirt, that doesn't count in building height?
Yes, it does. We measure, so let me go back to our elevations here. So the red line on the bottom is the natural grade. So we measure from existing natural grade. So that's where the height's coming from, because they have to build the house up that much that we're seeing the heights going up. If you cut into the hill, you gain height. If you have to build it up, you lose height allowance.
Okay, and is there a defined average point? So if it was,
No.
it varied, how do you determine where the measurement point is?
That's a great question. We see where the natural grade is, and they look at different points, and we look at the highest point to see where the height, and that's where usually we measure the height. This one, it's pretty steady incline down, so you see how the red line goes down straight. That matches basically the natural grade on the property as it is now.
Okay, and I, just as not for this specific one, but for future ones, I would venture to guess some people come in and bulldoze or disturb the land before applying for a permit. How do you?
Well,
Does that happen?
Well, usually they come in with these lots. They're coming in with their engineering for their grading permits, and we make sure that they have their disturbance envelope on there, and we just make sure that we know on there that we measure from natural grade. But we don't really see the elevations till they come in with their building plans. But we make sure at least the disturbance envelope is on their plans.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your questions. Tony?
I have no questions.
Moving on down the line there, Mark.
Yeah.
Tom?
Yeah, Tom Davis. Tammy, you mentioned that the administrative adjustment part, you do those that are less than 10%, and there's quite a few of those, correct?
Yeah, we have one right now, but they didn't have their disturbance envelope, and it looked like they were disturbing the whole property. So they're going to have to make some changes to that. And then another one I just reviewed that was above 35 feet. I don't know how far above because they didn't show it on their plans. So that's another one that we're looking at right now. But we do have a couple. We are seeing a lot of the administrative adjustments for these heights because of that slope issue with the driveway.
Right.
Yeah, so with an administrative adjustment, it does go, we do notify the neighbors. We notify the adjacent, the ones that touch that are most effective, because 3.5 feet really isn't that tall. You might not be able to notice, but we do contact the adjacent property owners, and we give them a chance to comment on it. So, and if there's opposition to it that can't be resolved, then they have to come before this board as a variance.
I was just wondering, pardon me, that, after looking at the exhibits and so forth in the streetscape, that if we're going to have a lot of these in the future, is there another way we should be looking at the height adjustment? I recall the Hassayampa Village issue and so forth, that I totally understand that the slope situation with the fire, in my neighborhood, there's some severe issues with driveways and stuff. So I was just wondering if because of the fire code adjustment, should there be another way to look at the height measurement off the street, up from the curb to the entry to the garage, to help along? I mean, avoid all the piecemeal applications that will be required because of this fire code.
It's really hard with the slope lots. It's pretty typical that either they look at the average of the slope or they look at from natural grade, most jurisdictions. We have a lot of sloped lots in the city of Prescott. And, we have a code that applies for everybody within the city of Prescott in our zoning code. And it could be considered, I'm trying to think of the right verbiage right now. We need to make sure the codes apply throughout the board. So if they have the zoning, this is what every residential is allowed 35 feet. That's typical for all residential.
Yeah.
So if we start giving allowances for certain areas without a formal process, we do have the 3.5 foot, the 10%. That's pretty a good. I haven't seen that with other jurisdictions. So that is a process we have in place. But usually the variance is a pretty standard per state statutes that allow it to give us for a relaxation of a code.
Okay, all right. I just wondering as we go forward and these folks buy these lots, I mean, a lot of the lots inside, the city proper, that's what left, are steep lots.
Yes.
And so as you go forward and you buy a lot, do they understand the ramifications of the limitations that prevail because of the slope of the driveway and the height of the building can be in conflict?
Probably not until they start getting into plans because they don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
This is one of the smaller houses in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then the height, like I said, they've worked with the pitch of the roof to get the height down. So we've worked with them very closely to try to get it to this point.
Yeah.
So, and the HOA.
I really appreciate you working with the applicant to do all that. I appreciate that. The other question I had, and I know you probably don't have the data or the record, but the way I'm looking at things, they're not enjoying any different privilege than the neighboring homes. It appears that like a lot of the neighboring homes would be above that height off the street because they were built prior to the 12% issue.
Yeah, so their driveways didn't have to meet that 12% slope, so they were able to meet the height because they could bring the house down a little bit.
Yeah.
In this case, we had to bring the house up closer and get that closer to the street is what we're seeing.
So this is in general would be from the street level a taller building.
Possibly.
Okay. All right. I think it would be always interesting when we get these cases that we see how the neighboring properties are affected, by a privilege that it's not a privilege, a requirement they have to meet in order to build a reasonably sized house, So, like I said, that house looked like it was about the same height as what's called for here.
And it could be, but this one, I believe when I looked at it, it was permitted right before or right when that code was come in place. And it took us a while to realize that amendment was approved. So it might not have been caught originally, but we are seeing these more and more that with these slipped lots that we are seeing these adjustments come in.
Well, other than that, I'm perfectly okay with the application, and so.
Okay, thank you for your question. I hope it was answered sufficiently. Any more questions from the board? Not hearing any. Is there anybody in the public that would like to speak to this?
We have one speaker request, Mr. Pat Fuge.
I don't know.
You can raise it up.
Oh. Hello, my name is Pat Fuge. My residence is 145 East Soaring. I'm directly east and below. You can see the chimney in my house in the picture, just straight below. So I have a direct interest in this property. First of all, thank you for the board for allowing me to be here, ladies and gentlemen. And Tammy, if I may, I want to thank you for letting me meet George the other day. You were out, and George spent an hour with me and my neighbor who lives just to the south of me, discussing the variance and the consequences of the variance and the plots, and he was very thorough. So I do appreciate that. Did a good job. I'm in approval of this variance to start with, but I have a few statements and questions. This house is going to be directly west of me, so the sun will set over his house. I'm going to thank him now for the free shade that he's going to provide me in the afternoon. The driveway, the 12%, if you could do me a favor and flash back to the side view, please, if you've got 1 second. That one. That 12% is on that lower driveway. They have an upper garage, it's 3-car, and a lower that's 2, I think. Mm-hmm. And I think that 12% is on the lower garage.
No, it's for the upper garage,
Okay.
the main access.
Oh, okay. 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 I wasn't sure which one. That's Could you tell me what the size of the house is? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my
Square
head.
footage. Okay. It's not a problem. After speaking, my neighbor, Jim Lake, also attended the meeting with George, and we discussed this for a long time. And after thinking about this, we came in not negative or positive, but after we left, we had a positive feeling about this variance. As I look up my hill looking west, and you can see it in the side view, I will not see the top of that house because I'm lower down. I'll see the eaves of the house. So the height does not affect me. The eaves are going to be slightly higher. It's not going to be a big deal. I guess the consequences of not allowing the variance is to move the house down the hill, possibly. Possibly. That's not a good thing for me. Closer to me is not good. Higher is fine. So that's why I feel that this variance is acceptable to me. And I want to be a good neighbor and meet my new owner up the hill. So at this time, I feel that the variance should be approved, and I get the general feeling from my neighbors also. I didn't get any negative input from any of my neighbors that the variance would be detrimental. I'm concerned a little bit about the drainage, but that's an engineering problem that will be addressed later. It's just raw dirt now, so I presume that the drainage will improve. So thank you very much. I do appreciate it.
Thank you for addressing the board. Are there any other comments from the public? Not seeing any more comments at all after the public from the board? Okay. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to either approve or deny the variance.
Mary Frederickson, I will move to approve variance V24-007.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? The variance passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
And we do have one staff update.
I was getting to that.
Okay.
It's the next item on the agenda. Do we have any staff updates?
Yes, we do. So starting Monday, we start. So the City of Prescott has been updating our general plan. We're 2 years into it, or a little over probably. It's been a long journey, and we have Mary Frederickson's been on that committee, and Tom Davis has just joined us recently. But we are to the point. We start our 60-day public comment period starting Monday. Here's our flyer for it. We have a different format of the general plan. We took a different turn last year at the end of the year in looking at other general plans. So we have what's called livability goals. We have 5 main chapters, and then we have all the required elements, per se, underneath all these goals. So if you go to our planprescott.com website starting Monday, there's a tile that says 60-day public comment period. You can click on it. We have a virtual meeting room that you can go into to provide comments or see other comments that people are providing. And then you can also see our newly formatted, really cool looking interactive general plan. We're really happy about it. It's we brought Kimley Horn on board, and they ran with it, and they created an extraordinary looking document with all the information from the committee and from the city staff. So we're pretty excited to get this moving forward through the 60-day comment period. It starts Monday, and we hope that you can all look at it, and I'll send you information. I'll email you the links and stuff for that. And also a copy of the flyer where you can disseminate it and spread the word. So I just wanted to take this chance to bring that up.
Tammy, Mary
Hey.
Frederickson, how is the flyer being distributed by the city?
We have the PR has gone out to the papers and everything. I'm going to try to get a hold of Cindy Barks soon to get something in the paper, and then we'll be emailing the flyers out and then disseminating at the. We also have 2 open houses planned, and I'll send you the dates of those too if you're interested. But they're going to be set up just like the virtual meeting room. So we'll have computers at each station where you can put comments in, and it keeps track of it all. So. Yes, I do have contact. I have a pretty extensive contact list. I have been emailing too.
I do have the open house on my calendar, the 2. But that was going to be my question. When you say you're going to email the flyers out to the general public or to entities?
Yeah, we've already sent out. So we are required to send out to certain reviewing agencies like the Attorney General, the Arizona Commerce Authority, the Yavapai counties, Chino Valley, Prescott Valley, Forest Service, BLM, everybody, State Land Department. There's a whole list I had to send it to as requirements per state statute. And then we have I have a distribution list from people who have subscribed. And so I've been sending stuff out through that too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I would, before I adjourn the meeting, I'd like to welcome Jake Blund, our new recording secretary. Welcome to the commission. Introduce you to the board. So, having said that, not hearing anything else on the agenda for the board, I adjourn this meeting.